Well, it was developed by a Russian physicist called Lev Theremin, actually, and then he sort of the anglicised version of his name is Leon Theremin, and that's where the name of the instrument comes from. And he was working on all kinds of projects back in the 1920s, including some of the early research into the development of television. So he was across all kinds of fields, but he hit on this phenomena sort of accidentally, I think, in his laboratory, and he realised that he could put a human being in the path of an electronic circuit. And so with the original theremin, you as the performer are the capacitor in an electronic circuit, and you manipulate or you interfere with an electromagnetic field. So the closer you put your hand to an antenna, you can change the pitch of an oscillator. And the closer you put your hand to the other antenna, you can control the volume of the oscillator. And with the combination of those two things, you can play melodies and tunes on a theremin.
But sticking yourself into sound waves and electronic devices and stuff like that sounds a bit dangerous.
Well, I think on the scale that he was using to build the little theremins, that was probably okay. But when the City of Melbourne asked me to build a giant one, I was a little bit concerned that creating a huge electromagnetic field and then putting people in its way might do more damage than good. So I decided to go with a system that was uses a camera to track people's movement in space, which also means that the instrument doesn't have to be monophonic. I mean, one of the limitations of the theremin was that it's essentially a monophonic instrument, just single voice, and so that this instrument can be played by up to 8 people simultaneously. So you can get a sense of people playing duets and trios and quartets. Once you get past the quartet, it's a bit more like a sound, like you're all playing a single sound, but it is a polyphonic instrument.
Okay, so here we are. Here's the creation, and it's already making noise.
Yes, that's right.
And it's making a variety of noise. So, tell us what we've got here.
Well, basically, the structure is it's almost like a pyramid, I suppose, with a 4-metre antenna, which is meant to mirror the theremin. And there's a camera at the top of that, which is tracking an area of about 60 square metres in front of the instrument. Now, when people move through that area, up to 8 people at a time can be tracked by the camera individually, and each of them is assigned an individual voice. And so, with the sound designs that I've created for it, I try and achieve a combination of classic theremin tones. So what we're hearing at the moment is just a classic tone, and then now we've got a xylophone there. So I find that percussive instruments work quite well, and you can scale the instruments across the area in various ways. So I can actually put a harmonic minor scale across there, or a pentatonic blues scale, or whatever. And so you can mix and match scales with the instruments, and they're essentially like a big MIDI instrument. But then it can also play sound files, so you can actually record any sound and then put it in and assign that sound to a particular voice.
Let's move a little bit to get a bit more variety of this sound. So you have chosen everything that's available, and you can change it at any time.
Yes.
But it's really the combination of the sounds is really determined by the people like us at the moment, who are moving in and out of its range. Is that how it works?
That's right. So every time the space is clear, it resets, and it resets for various reasons. One of the most difficult things about building this instrument was making the tracking system work in changing lighting conditions. So, because the way it works is kind of interesting, you have to subtract the background. So the camera looks at the ground and it takes a snapshot of the ground and subtracts that, and then it only sees the difference, it only sees the movement.
Can we have a look inside?
Yes, yeah, let's have a look. This is the trap door. Bit of ad hoc waterproofing there. Inside you can kind of see the computer, and you can see the people being tracked. This is actually remotely accessible online, so I can, with my passwords, get into this and look at it from my home computer. loving seeing so many different sort of demographics, ages, kids playing it. There were two lovely old Chinese ladies running up and down it on the first night that it opened. It just made me so happy. And they were having an absolute ball. So I've also finally made something fun. But what I do like about it, from my point of view, being someone who's spent years and years performing and creating works that are sort of delivered to people, I really like the way this instrument is something that is for people rather than given to them. So they actually have to bring something to it and they have to perform it. And I think I really enjoy that sense of agency because I've just created a situation. So it's a composition. I see it as a composition in its own way, but it's also an instrument that can be played by anybody. So what happens with it is sort of out of my control.